You know what? It's time to go to the very beginning where it all started. I'm super excited to get into the review of this one. So without further ado, let's talk about A Quiet Place Day One. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the new film A Quiet Place Day One, coming to theaters June 28th. So listen, what's more exciting to going back to the very beginning, the first day that the Death Angels arrived on Earth? And we're not just going back into the woods in some remote area. We're going to New York City. So with that alone, you're just like, oh, this is going to be insane. And don't get me wrong, the first two films are fantastic. This franchise really has something going. I mean, the fact that we now can explore not only just New York City on day one, should we call it, but so many other cities that were affected. Where can we go next? Where can this story, where can this series, this franchise go next? I don't know, but I'm down for it. But New York City, which has a reputation of being very loud, if you've never been, it's very true. It smells. I'm just going to tell you right now that Lupita's character, Sam, she details exactly New York characteristics to the T in the first 5 seconds of the film. I'm just the messenger here. That's all I'm gonna say. But nonetheless, Lupita is one of our leads. She's alongside of Joseph Quinn. Lupita is definitely one of the premier actors in the horror genre. Obviously, with the success of Us, which she told so much story with just her facial emotions alone, and the fact she has to play a character that's pretty much without dialogue majority of the film. The story is really within the facial expressions, and I mean, what better person to do so? And then again, talking about her being alongside of Joseph Quinn, who is the character Eric, which we'll talk about in a minute. He compliments her in a way that I wasn't initially sure how it was going to work. But I think after seeing him on screen for about 10 minutes, you're it was the right decision, shall I say. And you're very much locked in terms of this dynamic between the two. But yeah, let's talk about this film, A Quiet Place, Day One. And it does go back to the exact date of June 18th, 2020 in New York City. So, again, with New York being so loud, and they even give you a little bit of statistics in the very beginning of this film, you kind of wonder, how can anybody survive, considering that most of these folks aren't used to hearing silence or happen to cater to silence. It's not only just a loud city, but it's almost within the culture of New Yorkers to be loud. But again, I'm just the messenger. I saw this movie in IMAX, and it's absolutely the way to see it. The visuals, the audio, it just is the way to see it. It is absolutely recommended to the point that it might be a must see in IMAX, just because of the fact of that there isn't much dialogue. Everything with the sound mixing, in terms of the score, in terms of the sounds that the Death Angels, the screeching sounds that the Death Angels make, another source of different destruction that's happening. I mean, it's piped up loud, and it does cause an atmospheric horror, because not only are you at times very on edge in terms of what mistake could occur that could be fatal for a character, but when they do, it comes in hot and you're just kind of caught off guard. So it really plays towards the jump scare element to the T. But hey, you know what? Let me talk about something real quick, because I have seen a small narrative going around. Don't get me wrong. I am a cat lover, but the fact that there is a cat Frodo in this film, I know a lot of people are running, their reactions, saying that Frodo is still in the show. Frodo is must watch. Frodo's the star, etc., etc. We're not going to disrespect Lupita one bit here. She is the star. Joseph is right behind her in that. But the cat, I'm going to tell you that the cat comes in and does bring a very special element, because not only does it become another character in care of the viewers, but also it becomes sort of the adventure slash survival through animal eyes. And what does it look like when an animal has to remain quiet and have a measure of resilience through the city of New York, while the death angels are there just ready to snag up anything that makes any little noise. So like I absolutely love the cat's moments and how pure the cat was at times, and how mischievous the cat was at times. But like by no means am I even about to sit here and say that the cat is the show stealer or anything like that. Like Lupita's not in this film. Like, you know, I get it. I know people want their hot takes and whatnot, but like we're going to keep it honest here. You know what I mean? But you know, going back to Lupita, like not only is she's just a phenomenal actor, but she completely transforms into the character Sam. Sam is in hospice, and Sam is battling cancer, and you know, along with that, I would go as far as saying that Sam has really made peace in terms of where she's at in life. And while she is trapped in New York in these very early stages of this invasion, she also has sort of some goals for herself before her time comes to an end on Earth. And we'll definitely talk a lot more about that. You know, me being me, man, New York, I'd be remiss if I didn't throw a joke or two in here. New York is always the place where shit hits the fan. And I have to be honest, kind of seeing the Death Angels arrive in New York, the first thing I thought was like, okay, well, where's the Cloverfield monster? I know they're in the same universe, and no one's just willing to tell me the truth. But like, honestly, like, how many more times are we going to see New York be devoured by monsters or alien invasions or some type of natural disaster? So like, I know New York is sort of like an easy destination for a lot of these things, but I kind of get tired of it because it's just like New York, New York, New York. So, but I thought it did play very well for this because New York is very much a loud city. So the fact that you have to transform it into more of a quiet place is almost like an impossible task of something we haven't truly seen, except for like I Am Legend, because there's only like 2 people there. But nonetheless, you know, it's just the idea that like, you know, New York is just at a point you start to just get blurred vision of like, I swear I've done seen this before in terms of the aesthetic of it, and the alien and monster invasion. If it ain't Godzilla, if it ain't the Cloverfield monster, it's the Death Angels. You know, I just started to think that they were just all together at one point by watching this. You know, it feels very reminiscent when you're watching some of these scenes. Like, I think this is. Oh no, it's not. It's not. But on that note, though, again, the sound mixing is so good that it really does set this film apart from a lot of the previous other films when it comes down to the destruction in New York City. And you know, with that being said, too, I think that the film wastes. I don't think. I know the film wastes no time getting things cracking. The first 10 minutes is just insane. You get a lot of action before the title screen even drops. So yeah, just be prepared to have things full blown, piped in hot, loud with the sound until you get to the title screen where we get to a very familiar place in terms of the quietness in the Quiet Place franchise. But Sam, it's really all about the protection of her cat, and she wants to get some pizza. She wants to get to Harlem to get some pizza. And I know you're like, what? The world's coming to an end. Why does Sam want pizza? I'm absolutely going to talk about that in 1 second. But like, after it's really much laid on the table about Sam's motivation, you know, it is a matter of survival for everybody, because, you know, anytime there's any bit of noise, you know, it's a herd following. Those Death Angels are coming for you. So, you know, I think that like the film keeps you on edge because you understand just how critical any little mistake can be. And with that, everything is a risk. And for the viewers, you're kind of just ready to brace yourself for any moment about any of these characters that you see and when it may be the last time you do so. So, I just thought they did a really good job with the suspense and just keep you on edge for whatever the unexpected may occur. But also in this film, as I mentioned about this being in New York and obviously this event taking place all over the world, they did mark out other cities on this globe at a time. So I instantly started to think, where could this story go next? And a couple of examples of that is like The Purge. You're like, what does it look like in other cities? And then a more recent example is Bird Box, where they went to Barcelona. Not that that was good or anything, in my opinion, but like, you want to know what else is happening in other cities. And they definitely marked some cities. So I think they are putting little Easter eggs in there just so we can sort of draw a parallel for that very point. What was happening in New York, take us to someplace else, And I don't know where I would like to go next, but like I definitely want to see them explore other cities and how other cities were affected in different matters, I thought the bridge exploding scene was pretty cool. So like, again, I think with the visuals and the audio, they did a really good job of like with the CGI and then the audio mixing to really make every moment that required sound, they made them all count, which is great. And it's truly the best element of this film. Why it is called The Quiet Place, and it is really prided on the performances of our actors in terms of having minimum dialogue and telling a story through their emotions. Everything else that requires sound is definitely a very key point into the success of this, and they definitely nail it. So Sam wants to get to Harlem for pizza. Escape and survival is South and Seaport. But again, I'm going to explore that in just a second. Because the reason why they want to go to Seaport is because Death Angels can't swim. So if you're in water, you're good to go. Which is a fun thing because you start to think about like, as a viewer, you start to put yourself in these shoes in terms of like the commentary about what your own survival would look like. And there's been so many times in this film that I was like, I would just do this, or I would just remain calm, or I would do this and that. And I think it's healthy because it's engaging and it's fun. And obviously we hope this never really happens to test out our theories of in playing the actions. But for what it's worth, in terms of entertainment purposes, it's absolutely engaging that you continue to say and think, what would you do in every situation? So, and with the midst of all of this chaos, they're still throwing some humor in there. So like, it's really a good balance of like, engagement with the viewers. So again, Patsy's in Harlem is the destination for Sam to get her pizza. The way that they're putting Patsy's over on this film, Patsy's sure as hell better be good, because the fact that we have a character that is willing to go out of their way of survival to get them some pizza, the world is ending. That right there is got to be the most over the top recommendation, and truly, when you talk about a measure of just how good it must be. Like that, I don't know if you get a better. I don't know if you absolutely get a better review than that. That the fact that somebody's willing to go get some pizza, even though the world is going to an end. And I say that to say it because it is a little bit of contradictory to what I'm gonna say in a second. But the fact that they made Patsy's like a staple in this film, I don't know if it's a real place, but I'm sure people are going to go out the way to go look for it, and that's good marketing, one way or another, Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's get into it, because again, with a narrative slightly being ran in this film about, hey, we have a character that is willing to go pizza with the world ending, I don't know if I buy into that. That seems a little outlandish here. It's way beyond that, because you have to understand that this is a character chasing special moments in her life, and with the world ending, the world has already begun to end for her, considering that she's in hospice, she's battling cancer, and, from that alone, she already knows that her time on Earth is slowly but surely coming to an end. So this alien invasion is just, I don't know, icing on the cake for her at this rate. But nonetheless, Patsy's represent just more than pizza. And just more of a, and then and more of a, and then beyond just being an establishment. But it is a special place and bond for her at a special time of her life where she did bond with her dad, who's already deceased in it. So like going to this place is, really meaningful for her. And what I think is really beautiful about this, which is why I want to go into detail about this, is that because this story, I believe, is the utmost display of bravery, and yet it's inspiring that this is a person who has come to terms with the end of her life due to her battle with cancer, and she's trying to cherish her final days on her terms, in her way. And I think that's a really deep note that they really implanted with this character, instead of people just looking at it on the surface level. It's like, she's going to get pizza, yay. But like, no, this is much deeper than that. This is about somebody that found a place of like happiness and just, a place where she feels like, she feels home once again. And I think that's very, very, very special. And, they talk about that very much in the detail towards the end, but you can see the writing on the walls the entire time of this journey with Sam. Because, when she's traveling with Eric has his own set of, self adventures, shall I say. And he also dealing with some other things. Like, he's definitely with the panic attacks, like he's having them. So there's a measure of anxiety, maybe a fear of being isolated and alone, but also the panic attacks are on high rate. But he feels a sense of purpose by being with Sam. And the two of them work so good together on that note, because I think they have a good understanding of the value of life. And I think each of them together have really elevated that purpose to the point that Sam truly understands that, like, getting back to Paxis is like being back home and making her feel alive again, making her feel whole. And that's super, super special. I also will say, to kind of throw in the cat here too, Frodo has healing powers, and the fact that Frodo is there is not only an emotional support animal for Sam, but we see that actually work as well for Eric. So it's really special on how they make that happen, But last but not least, I gotta talk about a couple of scenes I really like. The dock running scene towards the end of the film, it is spectacular. I really enjoyed that scene. And then there's also this underwater scene, that how it's shot and just the action that's happening within it is damn good. It is damn good. So, overall, I expected this film to be good. It did not disappoint one bit. Lupita is so phenomenal when it comes down to the emotions within her eyes, her facial expression, her mannerism. I mean, she tells the story there. So, like, this is a perfect casting for somebody who already had a warm-up with us, now coming back into a genre and a franchise, and then in particular this film where it's really prided on the silence. So how do you tell the story when you can't use the words? And she's the perfect person for this here. And then just to really quickly talk about the ending, I think there's a lot to be said about that, because I ain't going to give anything away, but like I got to say, to everything I said earlier, I mean, she stood on business. She absolutely stood on business. And I will also say that music is therapeutic, and you will see that also become an element too. The Deaf Angels may have something to say about the music, but I don't know, because the film don't give you much on that note on what's next. So I don't know what's next. Do they turn one page from this story? Do they go to another city? I don't know, but I do know I want more Quiet Place films. This one's great. This one's a must watch. I know everybody was hyped for it. It didn't disappoint. Just a great cast. I know there's so many other folks I could talk about here, but just really focusing on our leads. Lupita and Joseph did a fantastic job. Frodo the cat comes through and do what he has to do. And then overall, there's just a lot of heart with this horror, this alien invasion. There's so much heart. It will leave you emotional. You will be on edge. You will have a good time. So yes, without a doubt, you want to check out A Quiet Place. Day one, coming to theaters June 28th. Jump in the comments, folks. Let me know your thoughts about this one once you check it out. And as always, stick around for more reviews very soon.